cripple going.
Going in with his broken foot.
All right, now this isn't fair.
He's vigilant.
Mama gets to need a chair.
Why don't you sit in front so people can see you, no?
This is kind of. Tanika, you're gonna.
Sure. 2 sessions during the course of this debate. The first session will be held by the FEC. A question will be asked to both candidates, and each will be allowed 2 minutes for their response. Questions will always start with McCain first, since the Republican Party is currently in office. If the candidate exceeds the time limit, he will hear this sound. At the hearing of the buzzer, the candidate must immediately stop responding. The candidate may choose to respond in less than 2 minutes if he wants.
The second session will be conducted by the audience. Questions must be asked to both candidates, giving each a chance to voice their opinion. Responses for audience questions will be limited to 1 minute each. If the candidate exceeds the time limit, he will again be stopped by the buzzer. All audience questions, we request that you address them as Senator McCain and Senator Obama, since those are their formal titles. If the audience laughs during a candidate's response or a joke is made, we will not stop time. The timer will continue during any disturbances. And it is the candidate's discretion whether he wants to stop the audience or not. Yeah.
47 million Americans are currently with a form of health care coverage. Senator McCain, do you support a national health care system to cover the people, these people, or should hospitals continue to grant free care, which increases the health insurance costs?
I believe in a affordable health care for families, but I don't believe in a universal health care. I believe that families should be in charge of their own health care, and my plan for a better health care is, 1, reimportation of medicine so that we have a more competitive market and it drives down the price of medicine. And also for families who get health insurance, I want employers for it to be mandatory for employers to help families to get health care. And also I propose a tax rebate of $2,500 for all adults who get health insurance to make it more affordable, and $5,000 per family. The reason I don't believe in a universal health care system is that we should not rely on our government to give us health care. As Americans, we need to rely on ourselves. We are responsible for our own well-being. If currently 1/5 of all government programs are receiving failing marks, how can we trust our government with health care? We need to take that into our own hands, and as Americans, it's our responsibility to stand up and take responsibility. For instance, obesity is growing in America. Everybody knows that. Families need to regulate that. It's not something that the government can tell people to stop eating. It starts with the family. So, yes, I believe in cheaper healthcare and more affordable healthcare to promote people getting insurance and families being able to get healthcare insurance, but I'm not for a government-run universal healthcare system.
Senator Obama?
Well, then again, I kind of do agree with you, but for one thing, like the obesity thing that Senator McCain was just talking about, the reason for obesity is because a lot of the fast foods, the cheap foods, they're usually fatty, they're usually high in fat, and they're usually unhealthy for you. But the problem is when a lot of people are usually poor, they can't really afford to buy all the healthy foods and prepare the healthy foods, so they end up going out and buying all the fast foods. But when you do that, it ends up being a result, especially when you eat it a whole lot, especially the poor people. The poor people tend to eat out more than actually eat in at home because they can't really afford it. So when you keep eating and eating all those fatty foods, you're going to end up not necessarily obese, but you're going to end up overweight or unhealthy. But I do believe in a universal healthcare system because, for one, most people can't really afford it because out of because the majority of the U.S. population. Oh gosh. Sorry. Okay. Out of all Americans, there are a lot of people who are really uninsured. For one thing, they can't really afford it. So one plan that I have is to make it more affordable for both the middle and the lower class set of people, because we can't just have all the upper class people afford insurance. So one other thing that I plan to do, I plan to have, well, like he said, a tax cut, because. Oh, jeez.
Don't worry about it. You know, can you alternate the questions and instead of asking John McCain first always? I think it's
Yeah.
more fair, yeah.
Are you finished, Senator Obama?
Just about.
Well, this next question is for you. In September of last year, Congress was told the Iraq troop surge had lowered violence in Iraq. Now many are asking for a further increase of troop count to help the Iraqi government. Do you agree with this notion, or do you disagree and think the troops should be pulled out of Iraq?
Disagree. I really believe that the troops should be pulled out, because it's been from 2002 and they keep saying that the war on terror, this. Okay, if you were saying that Saddam Hussein was a problem and you already captured Saddam Hussein, why are we still over there? We're just basically causing a disruption with the Iraqi culture. Well, because back in 2002, when we were saying that we were going to have a war with Iraq, I disagreed, despite the fact that I was basically putting my political. Gosh.
Political career?
Yes, political.
Just talk, we're your friends, just talk to
Yeah. Yeah, my political career on the line. I still said I still put it out that we really should not be fighting. It's no use, because basically what this is just it's just a football keep going back and forth. We keep putting the blame on one person. First we said it was Osama bin Laden, and then when we couldn't find Osama, we said okay, we have to find somebody else to put the blame on, and then we end up putting it on Saddam Hussein. When we captured Saddam Hussein, we're still over there, and we're still saying, oh, it's not peaceful over there. But for some strange reason, they still haven't really found peace. They've actually been going down like a downward spiral. That is all.
Senator McCain, same question.
Can you repeat the question?
Of course. Do you agree with the notion of adding more troops to Iraq to quell violence, or do you disagree and you think the troops should be pulled out?
I am strongly for increasing our troops and supporting General Petraeus and whatever he sees fit in the new plan to help Iraq. If we pull out now, it's going to result in a massive genocide in Iraq. It's too unstable. We can't pull out now. We started the job. Our main problem, ever since 2003, early 2003, I've been against our strategy in Iraq. I knew our strategy wouldn't work, and I voiced that opinion. Now, with the new appointment of General Petraeus over George Casey in the beginning of 2007, I strongly support his new strategy for holding Iraq. We can't go back on our job, and as Senator Obama said, you know, he believes it's a downward spiral, and we need to get our troops home. But also, he proposes that we take out troops from Iraq, but put more troops and keep troops in Afghanistan and Pakistan to keep things, you know, stable. So, in essence, he's not bringing all our troops home, it's just moving them and keeping them in the Middle East. We need to keep stability. We can't pull out. We started the job. Our troops over there, they feel a sense of duty to finish this job. If we pull them out now, I mean, what are you celebrating? Are you celebrating surrender, defeat, the fact that we lost the war on terror and we're giving up? We need to finish our job. We need to stay in Iraq, and we need to keep troops there.